When it comes to space travel, SpaceX has long been a pioneer in worldwide innovation and development. Musk has demonstrated that SpaceX is superior to its rivals in every element of the rocket business. But this also makes SpaceX a target of copycats. Welcome back to our channel, guys. In today's video, we will be talking about what Elon Musk just revealed about SpaceX's newest partnership. Elon Musk and his team have managed to launch some of the country's top national security satellites for the military to better track the new generation hostile missiles in June 2021. Musk claimed that his ultimate goal was to colonize Mars so that people might safely leave the planet if required. But in this course of that endeavor, SpaceX accumulated an order book of civilian launch contracts with a total estimated value of $5 billion. Additionally, it has received contracts from NASA for roughly $9 billion in past and future funding, primarily to transport astronauts and cargo to the International Space Station. These contracts include providing the military with rocket launches and satellite prototypes that will eventually cost about $6 billion. The top military suppliers continue to overwhelm these sums. Boeing reported approximately $26 billion in sales from its defense and space businesses last year, while the nation's largest defense contractor, Lockheed Martin Corporation, recorded around $21 billion from its space and missile businesses. Both businesses have spent tens of billions of additional dollars over the years as prime contractors on significant NASA programs. Many of SpaceX's contracts depend on NASA that give little initial revenue. But as Congress and the Pentagon progressively pump money into a variety of space programs, in the next decade or so, SpaceX will be positioned for a multi-billion-dollar boost. The shift by SpaceX towards national security initiatives is meant to support satellite and rockets. The business already produces products for civilian and business customers in the US, according to analysts and industry officials. The company's evolving strategy is to adapt some of its current systems to new missions like tracking space debris, helping defend against superfast missiles, and providing secure communication links for US Marines around the world. According to Roger Rush, a seasoned business consultant, the leaders of SpaceX worked hard, conducted their research, and took all the necessary steps to earn the military's trust, and their perseverance has paid off. Mr. Rush does not work for SpaceX or any of its rivals. $149 million, €114.8 million contract for the construction of mission tracking satellites for the U.S. Space Development Agency was awarded to Elon Musk's SpaceX. The launch of the Pentagon's rocket freight program was announced as an experiment. For the program's first academic year in 2022, the Pentagon Budget Office sought $48 million, which is equivalent to a full economy flight fare. The plan was to launch the rocket, including its passengers, to a height somewhere in low Earth orbit, where air and wind resistance is essentially non-existent. According to SpaceX, the projected rockets may go from New York to Paris in 30 minutes, Honolulu to Tokyo in 30 minutes, and Sydney to Singapore in 31 minutes by the year 2021. SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket has successfully launched more flights than any other commercial or governmental rocket in history, despite the delay in the first Starship orbital flight. The Pentagon is starting to get impatient as a result of SpaceX's recent landing of the Falcon booster for the 100th time. Elon Musk, the CEO of SpaceX, is stepping up satellite production for Starlink, a growing constellation of hundreds of internet beaming satellites. 4 satellites equipped with a wide-angle infrared missile tracking sensor will be built by SpaceX at its Starlink assembly facility in Redmond, Washington, with help from a subcontractor. Although the Air Force has not ordered any Starlink satellites of its own, SpaceX received $28 million from the Air Force in 2019 to test encrypted broadband services with a number of military aircraft. Last December, Elon Musk, the founder of SpaceX, had a private meeting with Patrick Shanahan, the Deputy Defense Secretary, during which they discussed a number of issues, including SpaceX's failure to secure a significant contract from the Air Force. Musk admitted that SpaceX was to blame for the loss. According to the story, the business has developed a port plan, and Musk was quoted as acknowledging that it was inadequate. As a result, SpaceX's three competitors in the developing industry of private launches received development stage contracts worth more than $2.2 billion for a series of military rockets beginning in 2022. United Launch Alliance, ULA, is a partnership between Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin. However, Musk and SpaceX have adopted a different stance after the Pentagon meeting. According to a case filed in May in federal court, all governments are at fault. The case was resolved in 2015 by amending the contract to allow new businesses like SpaceX a better chance in future bids, despite the Pentagon's response that SpaceX had lapsed the time to file a protest. Despite the presence of larger, more seasoned participants, the records and interviews provide insight into the complex world of defense procurement and SpaceX's ability to navigate it. According to SpaceX, its technology is superior and more advanced than those of its rivals. The U.S. Air Force awarded contracts worth billions to rocket manufacturers United Launch Alliance and SpaceX in January 2022 for the launch of national security missions over a 5-year period beginning in 2022. The Air Force's Space and Missile Systems Center in Los Angeles, California, organized the awards, which mark the second phase of the military's National Security Space Launch Program. The military was looking for contractors, and Northrop Grumman and Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin submitted bids. The military was planning to spend $1 billion annually on launches. 60 of the launches were won by ULA, and the remaining 40 by SpaceX. National security missions are most lucrative in the rocket sector, with several paying well over $100 million each launch, according to ULA, a joint venture between Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and SpaceX. It has launched scores of payloads for the military over the past 10 years. Between 2012 and 2019, the U.S. military awarded ULA and SpaceX launch contracts totaling more than $12 billion. 2 years ago, the Air Force awarded ULA Northrop Grumman and Blue Origin development contracts valued at $967 million, $792 million, and $500 million respectively. SpaceX sued the Air Force after losing out on a development award, and Blue Origin objected to the criteria the Pentagon used for launch contracts. The entire process has been extremely competitive. With the NSSL contracts as their first goal, each of the firms have been creating next-generation rockets. ULA is building its Vulcan rocket to replace its aging Atlas and Delta fleet of rockets and to end dependence on Russian-built rocket engines. ULA's Atlas V rocket is powered by RD-180 engines that are imported from Russia, while SpaceX has a fleet of Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy rockets and therefore is currently testing its massive Starship rocket. The U.S. Air Force is expanding a tiny development program called Rocket Freight that aims to use reusable rockets like those SpaceX is developing to quickly carry cargo to any location in the world. The program, according to the Pentagon, will investigate and aid in the development of capabilities such as rocket landing on a variety of non-traditional materials and surfaces, engineering a rocket cargo bay, and logistics for quick loading and unloading and airdropping cargo. The term rocket cargo accurately describes the Starship rockets that SpaceX is developing as the military program that can launch between 30 and 100 tons. The Air Force's 2022 budget proposal requested nearly $50 million for rocket cargo to continue the study concept work it began that year with small contracts to SpaceX and Exploration Architecture Corporation. The only rocket in development right now that intends to be both reusable and capable of launching that much mass point to point is called Starship. A rocket would launch into orbit, land at a different site, and then return, allowing supplies or perhaps even people to be transported from one side of the planet to the other in less than an hour. SpaceX has been testing Starship prototypes at their facilities in Texas. Most recently, the prototype SN-15 made its test flight. SpaceX is aiming to do something no other rocket has done: reuse rockets quickly to make spaceflight more like air travel rather than the traditional approach of discarding the rocket after launch. How do you think SpaceX's partnership with the US military forces will affect the world? Let us know in the comments. If you liked our video, don't forget to give it a like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more fantastic content. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of our latest updates. Thanks for watching.